Excited for Bitcoin conference? Yeah, that's not excited enough. How about, yay, Bitcoins! Woohoo! All right. Yeah, XRP. So I love Bitcoin, and I have been into Bitcoin for a few years, but about 9 months ago I discovered Ripple. And so I discovered Ripple, and I thought it was really great, and it could really help the Bitcoin community. And I'll explain why in a minute. But first, I decided to join the team at Ripple Labs. And so I am a software engineer at Ripple Labs. My name is Steven Zeiler. You can find me on GitHub, Steven Zeiler. I'm part of the Ripple team. And on Twitter, I tweet about Ripple and Bitcoin and things like that. So I wanted to talk about how Ripple is like Bitcoin and how it really adds to the Bitcoin ecosystem. And so I want to first talk about the benefits of distributed systems like Bitcoin and Ripple. So with Bitcoin, you have total control of your money. You have a private key and a public key, and that gives you total control of your money. And that is just your Bitcoins, though. You get total control of your Bitcoins, but you don't get total control of your dollars, and you don't get total control of your gold. And you still have to use those in the mainstream way. And one thing that Ripple tries to solve is to enable you to use any currency in a digital way, any currency in a way that is as secure and as awesome as Bitcoin. So Ripple is a platform where anyone can issue any digital currency they want. So right now on Ripple, you can log in, sign up for a wallet. It's just like a Bitcoin wallet. And I encourage everyone to do that right now. If you see a blue flyer, it will tell you how to log in and get a Ripple wallet. And if you do that, we will give you 1,000 Ripples during this talk or immediately afterward. So I encourage you to do that soon. And once you get Ripples, you can issue or obtain any type of currency in digital form. And so I want to walk through an example of how we can use crypto money outside of Bitcoin. And specifically, I want to propose a silver-based economy in Austin that is all digital and super fast, and it's only on Ripple. So I want to ask for beautiful Carolina to come up. If anyone has been in Austin for very long, you might know about Capital Coin. It's my favorite silver and gold coin dealer. I always went to Capital Coin to buy silver and gold, and I would be able to spin that silver at places like Brave New Books. But it was kind of awkward to bring like whole silver coins and to try to buy half of the value of that silver coin, because you can't cut it in half or anything like that. And so I proposed that Capital Coin joins the Ripple network. And by joining the Ripple network, Capital Coin could actually issue digital silver that represents the real silver that they have at their store. So, for instance, if I went to Capital Coin, here's an awesome Spanish silver doubloon that my dad found the other day. But it's really awesome. So I would go to Capital Coin, and I would ask to buy some silver. And Carolina, working at Capital Coin, would give me the option. I would give her some dollars, and she would say, do you want the coin version of the silver, or do you want it in your Ripple wallet? And remember, your Ripple wallet is just like a Bitcoin wallet. So people can send digital funds into it. So what would happen is Carolina and I would, I would show her my phone QR code, like a Bitcoin QR code, and she would send silver into it. And this is actually extremely easy on Ripple. It's just like you would send Bitcoins, you type in the number you want to send, and you send them to the person. Well, in Ripple, you type in the number you want to send, and then you type in the type of money you want to send. And in this case, it would be silver, so she would type that in and send it to me. And one of the magic things about Ripple is that the payment only takes 5 seconds. It's the same cryptography as Bitcoin, but it only takes 5 seconds because of the way that transactions are processed. It's very different from the way that Bitcoin transactions are processed. So in 5 seconds, I could have digital silver in my Ripple wallet. Thank you, Carolina, for the digital silver. You can hang out up here. All right, so now that I have my digital silver, who's going to take digital silver? Well, I know that Brave New Books takes digital silver. They take bitcoins too, if you didn't know that. One of the companies in Austin that takes bitcoins. So I would go to the store and I want to buy a book. Instead of bringing a silver coin to Brave New Books, I'll pull out my phone and I'll pay them, send them silver. In 5 seconds, they'll have the silver in their wallet. And that transaction can never be reversed. It has the same security as Bitcoin. And I can just pay with silver. Now, at the end of the month, Brave New Books might go back to Capital Coin and say, I want real silver. So they'll take their digital silver that all their customers have sent to them, and they'll take it back to Capital Coin and exchange it for silver. So I would go back, and I would, here's Capital Coin. They've got the silver. I'm Brave New Books. I've got all this digital silver on my wallet now, and I'm going to send it over to Capital Coin, and they're going to give me real silver. Awesome. So this is the basic premise behind Ripple, that any asset can be issued in a digital form and stored in your wallet like a Bitcoin wallet. So we have on Ripple companies that issue gold, they issue platinum, silver, all kinds of different assets. There's a silver dimes money on Ripple, and anyone can issue anything. I personally issue Zeiler marks, which represent 1 hour of my personal time. So you can buy those on Ripple. All right, so that's awesome. We now can do a digital silver economy all around town. And we can transact in about 5 seconds. And oh, by the way, you can get bitcoins on Ripple too. If maybe Carolina was not Capital Coin, she was maybe a Bitcoin exchange, I could give her some bitcoins and she would issue me bitcoins on Ripple. And now I can spend my bitcoins in 5 seconds. And if you have used bitcoins for payments before, you know that the Bitcoin network takes 1 hour to process a transaction securely, but on Ripple you can trade bitcoins in 5 seconds. So the problem though is most of these stores around town still don't accept bitcoins, and they sure don't accept silver or gold or anything like that. And what they really want is dollars. And so, oh, thank you very much. They want dollars. And so we want to be able to pay people in dollars. Okay, round of applause for Carolina. We need a way to be able to turn our silver and our bitcoins and our gold and our oil tokens into dollars to pay a merchant. So let's say I went to HEB. And HEB, the grocery store, if you don't know, here in Austin, they only accept dollars. Well, I only have silver in my wallet. And they're on Ripple, but they only accept dollars on Ripple. So what I can do is Ripple will allow me to convert my currency into the desired currency that the merchant wants to accept. And that takes 5 to 10 seconds. And so I could go to HEB, and at the cash register they would say that is $100. And I'll pull out my phone and I'll scan to pay. And Ripple will give me some options. It will say, if you have $100 in my wallet, if I do, I can spend that $100. But if I have silver in my wallet, I can convert that silver on the market to dollars almost instantly and pay HEB. So what I would see is I'm spending silver, and HEB would see they are receiving dollars. And so this is a kind of seemingly magical process that the creators of Ripple have created. And so I want to explain the magical process and the second feature of Ripple. The first big feature of Ripple is anyone can issue any digital currency. The second feature of Ripple is that it is a distributed exchange for all currencies. And a distributed exchange means it is not centralized like Mt. Gox, and anyone can access it around the world. Once you have money in Ripple, you can there's an exchange portion to the software that you can put asks for different currencies or bids for different currencies and trade currencies all you want. So you can explicitly trade silver for bitcoins or for dollars if you want, and that will take about 5 or 10 seconds. If someone else is willing to match your bid at the exchange, then you get to exchange your money. So this is really powerful. The other day I had I had ripples in my wallet, which all of you will receive soon, and I wanted to buy gold in Singapore. There's a bank in Singapore that stores gold for you, and they issue gold on Ripple. So I went in and I said, I want to buy gold with my ripples, and in 5 seconds I had gold. And I can go to Singapore and actually redeem that gold with my ripples. And I securely own that because of the cryptography that is behind Bitcoin and Ripple, the public-private key pair that represents my wallet. Another instance of that is there's a bank in Israel that they have shekels. Shekels is the money in Israel. And I wanted some shekels, so I bought on the Ripple exchange with dollars, $5 worth of shekels in Israel. And so right now, they're sitting in a bank in Israel. I can spend them around the world on the Ripple exchange, or I could also send them to a bank account in Israel if I wanted to, and kind of withdraw that money. So Ripple is a platform for issuing any currency in digital form. You can invent whatever you want, whatever currency you want. And then secondly, it is a distributed exchange. The distributed exchange portion is what really attracted me to Ripple from the start, because I was really into Bitcoin, but there was a problem where it was really hard for people to get money into Bitcoin, and for people to kind of grasp all the cryptography, and for people to grasp like the security of the Bitcoin wallet. It was very confusing. So I saw Ripple as a way for people to get into cryptography, to get into crypto and Bitcoin without having to leave the comfort of the dollar or the euro or their native currency. So on Ripple, you can have digital dollars, digital euros, digital yuan from China. You can have all of these things in your wallet and transact with them just like you would Bitcoins, but very quickly. And this, I think, really lowers the barrier for people. If you can get dollars into your wallet, maybe you're like something like a Bitcoin wallet, and then easily transfer those in and out of Bitcoin, that's way easier than taking a risk on sending your money to something like Mt. Gox, where it might take 3 days to get your Bitcoins. If you already have money in Ripple in dollar form or something, you can change that into any currency you want almost instantly. All right, so far, I love having like a collaborative session. So if anyone has any questions so far, please.
Yeah, if you don't mind, for the audio, could you step up to the mic? Hello. Thank you. For our online view.
All right, I have a few questions, but I'll start with fraud incentive. So how do you get past the fraud incentive for somebody to issue a currency or a silver certificate from your example without actually having the reserve to back it up?
Yeah, that's a very important thing in Ripple, that anyone can issue any money, so you might not necessarily trust that they'll actually pay you back. For instance, I could issue $1 billion to my friends, and they wouldn't be real dollars because they're not backed by anything. So you have to trust explicitly in the system the person who's sending you, who issues the money. And I would, a lot of the gateways in Ripple have terms of service that are legally binding that say, if you bring back the tokens for your yen, then they'll give you real yen. And so it's based on contractual agreement between the holder of the yen and you. The thing is, though, that once you have yen in your Ripple wallet, it's cryptographically secure. So no one can take it out of your wallet. The person who's holding yen, they issued the yen to you, they can't take it. You still have it. They can always issue more than they have, but I think in the future we'll see a lot more auditing of different gateways and things. Also, if there's trusted banks and different financial institutions, they already have trust, and they don't want to spoil that by printing up too much money.
Okay, that answers it partially, but I guess your example sort of implied that we've gotten past the trust issue of sending something to Mt. Gox, for example. But within Ripple, you still have that trust issue because there's all these IOUs. So the exact same thing could happen to the entity issuing the IOU. So we haven't got past that stage of not trusting the third party.
You're very right. You're very right. We haven't got past the stage of trusting a third party. But in the Mt. Gox example, if you had Bitcoins in Mt. Gox and you wanted to change those for something else, you would have to go through Mt. Gox's software interface that you have to trust that that's going to work, that their servers are running, that they didn't decide to shut down your account. On Ripple, they can't shut down your funds, and you can trade them with any other currency in seconds. So if you think something bad is going to happen, you can get out quickly, and you can trade quickly.
Did you have a follow-up question?
I do, unless anyone else.
Okay. Go right ahead.
Okay, so next question is about the security of the network itself. So my understanding is that there's no way to implement two-factor authentication at this point. Therefore, it appears that a simple keylogger could access anyone's Ripple wallet as they have it implemented, straight through the Ripple wallet from the Ripple website. So
yeah, very good point.
How do you plan to address
Ripple
that?
Labs they built an example client to use. Simply an example. Anyone can build on Ripple. I totally forgot to mention, Ripple is 100% open source. All of our software is available on github.com/Ripple. And so if you want to build a new client that implements two-factor authentication, that would be wonderful. And I'm pretty sure Ripple Labs would love to support you in that endeavor.
Okay.
We're actually building another one for these soon.
Oh, right. And we are working on building that.
Okay, this is kind of similar, kind of the same theme. So essentially what your company is doing is like an option or like a contract, you're writing contracts between two parties. So I kind of analogous to like the Chicago Board Options Exchange, and they have a clearing corporation to enforce those contracts. And so that's essentially what you're doing, right?
I think so. A lot of people are interested in doing clearing with Ripple because at the end of the month they can easily just cancel each other's debts out that they've issued to each other, and so that is a big use case for Ripple. Okay, so the options exchange obviously is regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Since you're kind of doing the same thing, are you anticipating as the regulatory environment matures that you're going to be kind of treated the same way? And what is your strategy to kind of handle these new costs as they emerge? I imagine that given that Ripple is a worldwide system, a worldwide platform, that each individual location that has gateways or provide issuers of money will be regulated by the jurisdiction that they're in, and they will have to follow all those rules. Now, I don't know what the SEC is going to do about the Ripple protocol itself. Ripple is simply a protocol and a distributed database like Bitcoin.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Come up, please. If you will. Thank you.
Is there a monetization scheme for applications that run on top of Ripple?
A monetization scheme as in? As
a colored coin or something that will be generated by the application or for the development of the application? As a kind of a pre-mine or something of that sort.
So in Ripple, there is a native currency called XRP, and we often refer to them as Ripples, and that's what we're handing out today. And we use XRP in order to facilitate payments on the network and prevent spam and prevent people from trying to DDoS the network. So every payment you make requires a very tiny amount of Ripples to be paid as a fee, which is 1/10,000,000th of one Ripple, and it is destroyed. So it's eliminated from the system. And that's the only fee that you have to pay with Ripple. Basically, for anyone who wants to use the network normally, 10 or 20 Ripples is enough for the fees for the network for an entire lifetime. But if you're trying to attack the network, it will actually charge you a bunch of money for the fees, and you'll run out of money, and you won't be able to attack. So it's a really cool mechanism that we built in. That's why we have XRP and Ripples.
Questions? If you could, follow up.
Yeah, but what about, is there a scheme for developing a derivative currency of the XRP for developing applications on top of Ripple?
Yeah, so XRP is not related to any custom currency you want to issue. So if you want to issue gold onto Ripple, you can do that, and it's not involved with XRP at all. And for you, building on top of Ripple, you can choose to charge a percentage fee for anyone using your money. So if you're issuing out gold, you can charge 1% every time someone transacts with your money or something like that. And then there's tons of business opportunities for building on top of Ripple, building liquidity into the network, connecting different assets, and generally building more value in the worldwide network.
Please.
So from what I understand, there's like 10 or 100 billion XRPs that's ever been created. And if XRPs are used up on transactions, then, I mean, does that say there's a finite number of transactions that can happen on the Ripple network then?
So far, a very few of them have actually been destroyed because it's only 1/10,000,000th. Though if like say half of the XRPs were gone, then they would be twice as valuable, and so the fee could be half as much. So we could continually reduce the fee.
Okay, so basically, so it's also like 8 digits of resolution then on each XRP or something like that, so that you'd use a smaller and smaller.
Yeah, there is some
fraction.
resolution, though. I'm sure that could be altered in the software.
Okay. I see. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
So this sounds like you could use this to create an ETF. So the Winklevosses could have just bought 60 million in Bitcoin and then offered Ripple. And could they have done it that way? And then just, you'd probably have to register with the SEC and stuff, but they could have avoided the exchanges that way. Would that be feasible, you think, someday?
You mean a Bitcoin ETF?
No, a Ripple ETF. So, basically I buy whatever. I buy $60 million worth of gold or Bitcoin, and then I issue shares that's backed by this, and that fluctuates. But then the Ripple then would act basically as my clearinghouse for trading that in the same way the New York Stock Exchange trades the ETF shares.
I think you're exactly right. That is essentially what a Ripple currency is. It's an ETF that's linked to some asset in the real world, or some digital asset, or it's made up. But one of the big use cases is digital versions of real assets. So you could even have like digital versions of stock or something, equity in companies that you issue out.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. That's what Ripple currencies are. They're basically ETF.
The purpose of the Winklevoss ETF is to allow investors. The purpose of the Winklevoss ETF is to allow investors access to the product. People that already have investment accounts with the legacy banking system. So, I mean, that's the core purpose of that product. If you replicated it on Ripple, you still have that problem where people don't have access directly to be able to buy it with the legacy banking system directly to their bank accounts or brokerage accounts.
You're very right. Though I think it will be easier for people and banks to adopt something like Ripple where they don't have to go into a new currency. A lot of banks don't want to be exposed to Bitcoins. But if they can issue their current balances like dollars or euros onto Ripple, then that's an easy way for people to get in and invest in this kind of system, and then they can move into Bitcoins later if they want, pretty easily on the exchange.
Just a follow-up to what the gentleman asked, and I know you mentioned about the jurisdiction. Let's say somebody buys a gold and just issues an ETF, for example, on Ripple's. Is there SEC? I mean, is anything related to that? I mean, what are the complications? I mean, on that matter, do you guys have any research on that, or?
I don't specifically know all the legal issues. I think there's a lot of questions like that still floating around, and they haven't really decided. But we have a lot of lawyers that you could talk to, I think. And
Yeah, in fact, downstairs, there is a booth that's staffed by regulatory folks and a law firm who was the counselor was one of our speakers yesterday. So there is a lot of information, printed material down there as well.
And just to mention, Ripple Labs does employ a lot of high-power law firms for the purpose of finding out how we can make this as legal as possible and make it very easy for people to build businesses on top of the crypto system.
Come on up, please.
How do you plan to protect the customers from asset duplication or somebody trying to issue a asset like silver or gold that isn't the same that somebody else has issued to try and duplicate or dupe your customers into trading onto the false asset?
Good question. So in order to receive an asset on Ripple, you have to trust the issuer of the asset. Specifically or explicitly, you have to add a record of trust into the system. So you would say, I trust this provider of silver to give me silver, but you wouldn't be able to obtain other providers of silver without trusting them also.
We have time for another question. You have a question?
Yeah.
Come on up.
Follow up to that conversation.
Well, let's have a question,
okay.
not a conversation.
Questions?
Questions? Yeah, no, I appreciate it, but if you have a comment, please go ahead, but let us...
Well, I'll go for a different question then. The Bitcoin bridge that you created, that was a great way to connect to the Bitcoin infrastructure. However, it's only one way right now, and so it actually provides an incentive to use XRP and get out of Ripple and into the Bitcoin ecosystem. So my question is, do you plan to make it two-way? And then do you plan to implement other similar bridges with other cryptocurrencies that would function in a similar manner?
Second part of your question, absolutely. We want as many bridges to different networks as possible. The idea is that you could have a bridge to PayPal, a bridge to Bitcoin, a bridge to anything. The current Bitcoin bridge that exists in Ripple, and if everyone doesn't know, in the Ripple web client that we've built, you can convert any of your money into Bitcoins and send to a Bitcoin address natively in the client. This is just a feature we built, but it's actually built by Bitstamp. Bitstamp provides the bridge. So I would love for them to implement an alternative bridge, but you can buy Bitcoins at Bitstamp and have them issue them onto Ripple.
There's actually 3 Bitcoin bridges.
There are 3 bridges? All right, awesome. Yeah, so Bitstamp issues euros, dollars, and Bitcoins. So you can get them from them and then get them back out.
Stephen, one final question.
You mentioned that the Ripple software is open source, and I was just wondering, do you envision someday, alt ripples being created, like Light Ripple and Doge Ripple and stuff like that, and or does Ripple Labs have some patent or something that would prevent something like that from happening?
Ripple Labs does not have a patent, though they do own the name Ripple with a capital R, so you can't use that. It's copyrighted. Yes, anyone can clone the Ripple software, but fundamentally Ripple is a payment network that links up all the different payment institutions around the world. So you could clone the software, but you would also have to still build the entire network, and you would have to build relationships with all of the different players around the world. Or you could build your own private Ripple that only your friends and you use, and it would be totally off of the Ripple servers and everything. Anyone can clone it, and that would be awesome. We take pull requests, I think.
Can I take a crack at answering that?
Yeah, Bob, please.
If you would, for the
So hi, I'm
viewers.
Bob Way. I work for Ripple Labs. I'm an integration engineer. My job is to talk to businesses and help you integrate with Ripple. So if you have any questions after that, feel free to answer me. Press release came out just about 2 days ago. Somebody said they wanted to clone Ripple, do an alt Ripple version. And the main difference between what they're doing and what we're doing is they said when you start up Ripple, it generates 100 billion XRP and it gives it to one account. That's what you start with, and then that person can decide how to distribute those XRPs. They wanted a different distribution model. They said, I want to take the 100 billion XRPs and I'm going to sell a third of them in this time frame and a third of them in this time frame and the rest of them in this time frame, and I'm going to take all that money up front, and I got all the money up front. Thank you very much. That's my business model. And the system continues on and runs. It's a perfectly valid thing to do. The source is out there. You can do and start the network. But as an integration engineer, I can tell you it's really, really much easier than that. If you want 100 billion new ripples, you just go into the web client, you create an address, you trust it with another Ripple wallet, and you say, send this 100 billion new ripples. And you're done. And then the rest of your job is convincing somebody else to pay you for them, which is kind of the hard part. So if you want to create a new currency, you want to issue 100 billion of your own currency on Ripple, we can do that in about 10 minutes, and you can all have your own coins on Ripple, and then you can all convince each other that they should trade in your coins instead of the other coins, right? Because you can issue your new coins, you can issue your new coins, you can make a market, you can trade one for the other. We can be done in a half hour. You don't have to run the servers, you don't have to set up, you don't have to do the infrastructure. It's already running. So.
Oh, to that point, if you want to build on Ripple, you don't have to operate servers. We have servers running worldwide. You can just use a lightweight client and get started on GitHub.
I know you want to have another go. Yeah. Q&A.
So now that you brought up the distribution plans and the differences between that alternate, could you expand a little on what your actual plans are to distribute XRP and how fast that'll happen?
I can elaborate a little bit. So I don't know the quite exact numbers, but around 50 billion of the XRP, our goal is to give those away. And we're trying to give them away to partners, people who are building on Ripple, people who are interested in Ripple, people like you guys here. That's why we're giving away XRP now. The idea is that we're using them to build the network. And instead of all of the money of like mining and hardware going to electricity companies and hardware manufacturers, the money will go to development of the network. It will go to businesses on the network. Our plan is to distribute over the next few years 50 billion of the XRP, and then use another portion to fund our company and pay our developers. And then a final portion of it was kept by the founders, a smaller portion.
Out of questions?
Okay, so has everyone gotten the Ripple wallet yet?
Yeah, so we'll take time here now. And is Ryan going to help out? Ryan and Bob, in addition to Stephen, are here from Ripple.
Yeah, Ryan over here, Ryan Terbolini.
And Norman.
And Carolina can help you get XRP.
XRP,
immediately after this.
Blue paper.
Yeah, so scan the XRP, scan the QR code on the paper, and it will take you to the Ripple web client. And I'll explain how this works a little bit. The way that the Ripple web client works is you enter a username and password. And that username and password is used to encrypt your key. And it's stored in an encrypted server somewhere. So don't be afraid. No one can access your key except you with your username and password. So that will be stored on a server. You don't need to actually save your key right now, your secret key. And once you create an account, you click receive, and there's a QR code, and you bring that QR code to someone, and that's how you pay. And that's how we'll send you XRP.
Save your secret or your password. Don't forget both.
Right, yeah, save one or the other. You can always recover using your secret, but make sure to remember your password also. That's very helpful.
Do you want to go one-on-one with helping on this now? Or have some closing?
So they can use it. Once people have their wallet set up, just come up and we'll distribute the XRP.
Yeah, I mean, we can keep talking while people come up and get XRP. If you want to come talk to these guys.
Sure. If you have some closing comments, so we can close out the Vimeo feed.
All right.
Because this won't work in the video. I know you
yeah. Some final. Yeah, okay. The final word is Ripple is really not an altcoin at all. Ripple is a totally new code base, a totally new platform for using digital currencies. Anyone can issue their own digital currencies, and you can use Bitcoin on them on Ripple. You can use Litecoin, you can use Dogecoin, and it provides a lot of really cool features on top. And I hope you get into Ripple, and I hope you ask us how to build businesses on Ripple, and you have awesome ideas. I was thinking about building a company that issues concert tickets on Ripple, the secure concert tickets. I think the concert companies would love that. But if you have any ideas, Ripple Labs is always open. Ripple Labs exists to bring the community in. We're in downtown San Francisco, but you can reach out to us, and we'll try to help you as best we can.
Stephen, thank you, and thanks to Ripple Labs. Thank you.